I just did a video on how to make a bow drill set with no tools. Why I did that is to show it can be done if needed, and to show that I think primitive skills give you a really good skill set when you're in the bush. Doing it all natural, if you know these, it can help a lot. So I wanted to show that, but also wanted to show the importance of carrying a knife, into the bush. That bow drill set would have been a lot easier if I carried a knife to make, though I didn't. Or if you carry a combustion device, you don't have to rely on a bow drill set. So when you go in the bush, you should possibly carry a knife and a combustion device. I have a ferro rod in here in this knife case right there. So I have fire source plus a knife, a cutting tool, that this one blade here can help out a lot if I just strap this to my side. Today what I'm going to do is show you how to build a shelter with no tools. I'm going to set this aside and just do it totally with no tools, just what I find out here in nature. Now, I know a few tricks and tips by studying primitive skills that I can get this done. I'm going to show you how. It looks like a great spot for placing a shelter. I could lay in under here and kind of build this over, lift that end up, and I could lay here. Same thing as that spot. But this is a very bad location. You can see this is a gully. If it rains, what happens? This is going to fill full of water. It's a bad spot. So a lot of times, a lot of people will crawl in underneath there. It's not a good way. If this is raised up enough, you could build a raised bed and then you'd be okay. But this is not a good choice. I'm going to show you where I'm actually going to set up my shelter. This area right here is perfect. It drops down there and it drops down there. So it's raised right in this spot. So if any rain hits, it's going to run downhill, of course. And it's long enough that I can make my shelter. Down there, it's dipped down. That would be where I put my fire pit, because the heat would be coming up and rolling into my shelter. That's the point of it. Plus over here, I have a log that I could just lay some sticks up against to make a fire wall to reflect the heat in towards my shelter as well. So that's very important, is shelter placement. So let's get down to building. Now, one other important factor when choosing your location. Walk around until you find a spot that you can get most of your, all of your material you need to build your shelter fairly close. A lot of blowdown around here. Over here there's a big field basically. Those crows, I don't know. But there's a big field of ferns over here that I can use for bedding and as well for cover over top for rain, or in the wintertime it would be good for snow as well, to collect it and such. To keep the snow from coming in through, and the rain, of course. You put over top the outside of the shelter for debris. But yeah, so make sure you have fairly small area you can get all your materials, so you don't have to waste as much energy and you can do it quicker, because this type of shelter is going to take a while. That's one of the other reasons why I want to do this shelter totally natural, to show how long it's going to take. It's going to take a while. It's a lot easier to take a small tarp that is adequate to cover you and keep you, dry and such in the rain, and you can build a shelter with. It's a lot easier to set up and a lot less time. These type of shelters are last ditch shelters if need be, or if you're staying for a while. It's the same thing as a bow drill set to me. That is last resort type of, fire, if, you need it. It's fun to play with as well to hone your skills. But I don't use a bow drill set a lot. I rather take a lighter ferro rod or something like that there. It's more dependable. Anyhow, let's get busy. I'm going to need a bunch that's going to lay on the outside for debris and such. So this whole thing will pretty well work. But I need 3 of them strong enough that I can make a tripod first thing. And, I can break this, but it's going to be strong enough for what I need down on this end. Now what I'm going to look for right now, I want 3 of them, probably about up to chest high. I want 3 about this size that I'm going to use for a tripod. And then the rest of it, I'll probably use 2 out of this, then the rest of it I'll use for just standing up on the sides. What I'm going to look for right now is 2 trees that are pretty close together that I can break anything I need to, I can break it off between 2 trees and it will basically save calories and I'll not risk, hurting myself, breaking it on my knee or jumping on it and so on. It's a lot easier just to put in between 2 trees and break it off. Now this crotch in this tree is going to be perfect. The smaller you have between it, the better it's going to be for accuracy. So what I'm going to do is, see, normally what you do is you break from your biggest end first. And that's what we're going to do here. Because as it gets smaller and smaller, it's going to be harder and harder to break. Right now you have more leverage. So I'm going to figure out the size I want, right up to about here kind of thing. And what I'm going to do is stick that in basically where I want it broke. And then I can go out here and just it's very easy that way. Now I'll measure my second one right to here, put it in, and push. Now I've got 2 exactly the same height. I'm going to find 1 more and do the same thing. Now I've got my 3 tripod pieces over there. Now what I'm going to do is try to collect some spruce root. Because spruce root will tie right up. So I'm going to got a digging stick here. I'm going to see what I can get here for some spruce root. You can see that right there is going to give me some pretty good cordage, and it goes right to there. I'm going to put that aside. I like it a little thicker than that, but if that's all you get, here we go, this is better. There we go, there's some more. I'm going to take this and tie that tripod together. Got our 3 pieces here. Got our roots as well. So, just going to take this, wrap it right around like I normally would and tie it off, keeping it kind of loose. This one, of course, is pretty weak, like I said. They make pretty good cordage, but they're also natural. So what I'm going to do is just kind of attach this to my other one. Now, it's going to go in and around like you normally would. And I'll tie it off. Now this is pretty strong, but it is not 550 paracord or bank line or anything of the sorts. Now I want to put my pitch on the back side here. That'll be my pitch. And that'll hold. Now I just have to run a ridge pole down that way. I see a birch pole right behind me. Looks long enough. We're going to check it out. A couple of them here actually. Okay, now, is that going to be, do I have to raise that end or not? No, I'm going to be able to put that down and I won't have to worry about that. It's going to be plenty long enough for what I need, and it's strong. So that's going to support the weight. Now there's two ways to do this. If you're pressed for time, I would gather my materials, but I would gather my materials for a fire and have it ready. So when the sun goes down, I can start my fire for light if my camp is not constructed yet. I can use the light from that and still play around my camp by the light from the fire. So, if you're pressed for time, gather all your materials that you think you'll need and more, because you usually always need more than what you think. So gather a bunch of materials, put it all here so you can work with it. If you have plenty of time, then you can kind of gather what you need as you go. But if you don't have time, gather it all as much as you can and more in the area that you're going to build with, and then build from your firelight. Now what I'm going to do right now is just going to start grabbing a bunch, and wherever it fits, I'll put it in, break it off. I just want that just a couple inches above the pole. That's it. Like just enough that you know it's going to hold there. You don't want it over top of the pole, because the problem is you have to cover it with debris, and if the pole's sticking up any, then rain will hit that and run in underneath all the debris and drip on you. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cover the whole thing with poles.